We've all seen those memes online about adulting, how adulting is hard, or my personal favorite, I looked around for the adult in the room and realized it was me. We laugh about these memes, but we don't take them seriously. We go back to our adult lives doing adult things with adult people in adult land. Except for the people who find it hard to do so, the people who feel like frauds, the people who feel like one day they're going to be unmasked for who they really are. I should know, I'm one of those people. I suffer from imposter syndrome. I'm Linda. This is Linda's World. This is Self-Care Sundays, and I've got quite a bit to say about imposter syndrome, how to recognize whether or not you have it, and more importantly, how to deal with it in your daily life and just go out there and live in adult land and not feel like a fraud all the time. All that and more starts right now. It's a long-running joke between my mother and me how we can never just accept a compliment for something we're wearing without explaining all of the details and downplaying the object. For example, if someone comes up to me and says, "Gee, Linda, I love your sneakers. Where did you get them?" I don't just stop at Amazon. I say, "Are you kidding me? They're 10 years old. I got them for $28 on Amazon." I downplay the item because it's almost as if I have to apologize for having nice things. I have a large collection of designer bags, for example, and mostly they're either gifts or from eBay. So when someone says, "Gee, Linda, what a lovely Louis Vuitton bag," I shout the word eBay from the rooftops before people can unmask me. I unmask myself because I don't want to be outed for having a bag from eBay. What difference does that make? None. But the thing is, I have imposter syndrome, and that is one of the ways it manifests itself. Now, imposter syndrome is sort of like being on the lam. It's sort of like being on the run from the law, except psychologically. And so it carries with it an awful lot of anxiety, and who the hell wants to live with a lot of anxiety? So that's why we're here today, to unmask imposter syndrome and figure out how to deal with it and just be the person we were meant to be without feeling like we're a fraud all the time. Now, I have a video that was from a long time ago on this channel, over a year ago, and I'm going to link it down below, called "You Are Not a Fraud," and I think it deserves a watch. The video quality is not as good. It's before I had some equipment that makes these videos a little better, but the sentiment is sound, and I would love for you to watch that video as a companion piece to this one. So I'll just leave that with you. Now, imposter syndrome is a psychological term. It's not a disorder, okay, but it is a term that is defined as a type of thinking in which a person feels like they are a fraud. They are undeserving of their achievements or accolades, and a type of thinking that's disproportionately affecting people of high achievement. So in other words, it's a disorder where you yourself are a highly achieving person. You are not exactly, you're one of life's winners, in very many ways, but you cannot escape the feeling that it's all just smoke and mirrors and that you don't deserve any of the accolades that you've been given. Now, there's 10 specific symptoms. We're going to do a symptom checker now that can help identify whether or not you suffer from imposter syndrome. So just bear with me, play along with me, and see if you hear yourself in any of these 10 things, okay? I know that when I read the articles, I saw myself immediately, so I would like to leave these with you. So the first one is an extreme lack of self-confidence, and it doesn't take a rocket scientist to determine whether or not you have self-confidence. You either do or you don't. I myself have very little, and it's sort of well known in my particular peer group that I suffer from a lack of confidence, and it's sort of kind of well documented, so I didn't have to look that far to get the answers there. The next one is feelings of extreme inadequacy. Inadequacy is better defined as just not feeling like you're good enough. That the grade you got in a test could be better, that the way you did your hair this morning could be better, that your winged eyeliner could have come out better, that you could have more money in your bank account, that your house is ugly, that you could be a better mom to your children, to your dog, to your cat, to your bird, to your lizard. Okay? Everything you do is inadequate. It's not enough. Okay? Number 3 is actually companion piece to 2 because it's a constant comparison to others. So not only are you not good enough, but you're not as good as Sally, Bob, Joe, and Frankie. Where'd those names come from? I don't know. But whoever's in your peer circle, or whoever's in your family, or whoever you see on Instagram, or whoever you see on Facebook, or wherever it is that you see social media posts, you just not only feel bad and inadequate, but you feel like you're less than that guy, okay? Those are the cool people. They're the awesome ones, and you suck, right? Now, 4 is extreme anxiety. Now, before you go any further, and before I go any further with this list that I'm running through, I want to put your mind at ease. Anxiety comes with almost every syndrome that people have identified. Okay. Anxiety itself is a disorder. So if you're sitting here and you don't feel like you have these things, but you just have extreme anxiety, please, for God's sake, don't diagnose yourself with imposter syndrome. You're a person with anxiety. And if your anxiety impacts your daily life in ways that are different from what's in this video, but still are hurtful to you, well, then I definitely suggest you explore that further. And there are lots of videos on this channel about coping with anxiety, and I intend to do more, so stay tuned. I'll have also some links below for this in the description of this video if anxiety is something that's plaguing you in your daily life more than what could be helped by this video. Now, the fifth one is extreme and, most importantly, visible self-doubt. Okay? Now, self-doubt is usually, with imposter syndrome, with other things, but with imposter syndrome, it's where it's not even so much that you doubt that you're good enough. This is where you doubt you can do it. Like, for example, imagine, if you will, standing center court on a basketball field and knowing before you let that ball leave your hands that it's gonna miss. Okay? Or putting a cake in the oven and knowing it's gonna suck. Like, you know damn well that you're a loser and there's nothing you can do about it before you've even tried the thing. Okay? That's extreme and visible self-doubt. And when I say visible, I mean it's because we don't live in a vacuum. We know people, and people see this. It's not just up in here in the noggin. People know it. Okay? Now, number 6 is distrust in one's own capabilities. And that sort of goes in hand with the self-doubt. It's that you don't find yourself to be capable of something. You doubt that you can finish the task, like it's a distrust in yourself to carry something through. You don't trust that you are going to be able to execute a plan. You don't believe that you will be able to finish a list of tasks, even simple ones, and you doubt your capabilities in all areas, or specifically concentrated areas like your abilities as a mother, your abilities in your profession, your abilities, like romantically or sexually, or things of that nature. Okay. And then, of course, we have number 7, the one that I'm probably most guilty of, which is negative self-talk, devoid of humor. What do I mean by that? Many comedians I watch and enjoy, have what's called self-deprecating humor. Okay, they make millions of dollars at their own expense. They poke fun at who they are as people. One of my most favorite people in the world who do this with brilliance, I think, is Pete Davidson. I admire the crap out of Pete because he's been able to take self-deprecating humor and self-doubt and use it for good and put a positive spin on it and made a whole bunch of money off it as well. But that's because he's a talented comedian, in my opinion. I'm a Pete Davidson fan. Sorry, Arianators. I happen to like Pete. And so that's one thing. But negative self-talk, not self-deprecating humor, but truly negative self-talk. Like, I suck. I am ugly. I am fat. I'm never going to make it. I am a loser. I don't deserve anybody to love me. Why would you even want to be my friend? I suck. Okay. Obviously, I'm making very generalized statements here, but I think you get my meaning, and that's what negative self-talk is. Now, number 8 is something that I'm incredibly guilty of myself. I can't even express to you how much this impacts my day, but number 8 is dwelling on the past. Now, you might want to think about that one for a second and say, but wait, what is nostalgia? Like, what does dwelling on the past have to do with being an imposter? Linda, I don't understand. Isn't that just having a good memory, or isn't that just having a fondness for days gone by? Yeah, except that when you dwell on the past within imposter syndrome, it's because you're looking back at a time, you're romanticizing a time because you're trying to compare today to it. Okay, it's damaging to you because the you of 2021 can't possibly compare to the you of 2005 or 2012 or 1996 or whenever the heck it was that you found yourself having a good life. Okay, whenever you were your happiest. Me personally, it was 2002. That was my good year. And so you dwell in the past because you're not only in comparison with the people you know, the people on the internet, but now you're in comparison with your own damn self, the version of you that you were back in the day. back when you were thinner, or back when you were still in college, or back when you were in that good relationship, or back before you moved to Chicago to accept that promotion that you didn't like, or whatever, you know what I mean? And by the way, people have said that whenever I place someone in a different city, I always list Chicago. I don't know what that means. I just wanted to put that in there. But in any case, the thing is that dwelling on the past is sometimes a good thing, because we want to sometimes redirect ourselves and go back to a point at the beginning where we were doing well, to harness what we had back then and use it for now. Remember the feelings of 2007, 1998, whatever, and harness that emotion and do what works for us best today, right? But that's not what this is. Imposter syndrome has us in comparison with our former selves, and we somehow will never live up to it, no matter how hard we try. And what happens to us, we get even more anxious, depressed, and self-doubting. Leading me to number 9. Overreaching our goals in an effort to fail. What? In simpler terms, setting the standard way high, because subconsciously we know we're never going to get there. It's almost the self-fulfilling prophecy. It's the opposite of if you build it, they will come. It's if I make this goal, I won't achieve it, right? So for example, in my personal life, it would be inconceivable of me, with my salary and my bills and my expenses, to save $500,000 to buy a house next year. That's an impossibility. I can't do it. I don't have it. Okay. So if I sat down and wrote in my little planner and I was like, Linda, you will do this in 2022, make your resolutions. And I said, I will save $500,000. That's clearly not going to happen. Okay. I don't even earn $500,000. So I am setting myself up to fail, and I'll be looking at that resolutions list going, see, look at that, you loser. You didn't save any money. You didn't meet your goal. We overreach our goals so that we have something subconsciously to feel like a failure at. Okay. And finally, number 10, and this one, I can hear the people who know me, who are watching this video right now, screaming at their screens, and I see you and I hear you. And it's attributing our successes to external factors, such as luck or other people. So for example, if you do really well on some kind of a project at work, and you say, and they're like, oh, good job, Bob. That was a good presentation, right? And Bob says, oh, please, it was the team. I had nothing to do with it. I just supervised. Or if someone's like, damn, you really got a great apartment. I love this place. I love how you set it up. It's like, I was dumb luck. I just happened to be talking to this guy in the train, and his wife sold real estate, And so you can't take credit for your own successes. You have to attribute it to the universe, or almost like you're winning an Oscar. I'd like to thank the Academy, and I'd like to thank the amazing cast and crew, and you can't take credit for your own self, because in your mind, it's something that you didn't do. You couldn't have. You're a loser. Remember? That's imposter syndrome. Now, who is it that does this? You might be sitting here right now saying, I don't have this disorder. Why am I watching this video? I don't understand. Linda, what do you mean? Well, I'm going to outline the 5 types of human beings who are prone to this disorder. And I got news for you. I'm all 5 of them. Okay. So the first person is the perfectionist. Now, I don't have to tell you what a perfectionist is. I'm sure you've heard the term before, but that's the person who demands, I'm fixing my hair in this viewfinder now, who demands perfection at all times of themselves and sometimes of others, and really gets pissed off if they miss. The superhero, the person who insists that they can do it all themselves. This doesn't really exist in other states, but I'm going to tell you what happens now. In Brooklyn, New York, where I live, many people do not own cars, and we go to the grocery store with a shopping cart. Okay. Sometimes if you don't have laundry in your building, you go to the laundromat with your big bag of laundry in the shopping cart as well. And so I own a shopping cart. It's in that closet right there. And so my mother and I call it the Brooklyn bag drag. We take the bags out of said shopping cart, or we go to the store expecting to buy 3 items, and we buy 4 bags worth of items, right? Unexpectedly. And we put them all here. And someone says, Can I help you with that? And you say, nope, I've got it. And you come walking through and they're hurting and it can make scars on your arms that don't go away from the plastic bags that we're now trying to eliminate with the reusable bags, but whatever. But the superhero, like the perfectionist, has to do it. The perfectionist has to do it well. The superhero has to do it all. Okay? And then, of course, there's my buddy, the expert. The expert knows how to do it well. You can't tell the expert how to do it because he already knows, or she. Let's be equal opportunity here. The expert knows everything there is to know about this topic. My ex-husband was a huge fan of telling people how to frame their photographs. His business, his line of work was in video. So he really knew a lot about photography and shots and lining things up, And so actually I hear him in my head every time I'm setting up a video. And so he knew what to do. But I'm going to tell you perfectly honestly, the man ruined our wedding day, yelling at my mother. Well, not yelling, but impassionately speaking to my mother about how to photograph everything so that it was well in frame in the park. Like I could still hear in my head saying, well, Darlene, if you don't want to have pictures on your daughter's wedding day that are well framed, I don't know what to tell you. This is the expert, okay? And so a person who suffers from imposter syndrome may be one of these three people, or he may be the other two. The natural genius. The natural genius is the person who's always done well. I'm one of these people. I did well in school, okay, with the exception of math, and I fully take that L, okay? I did well academically. It came naturally to me. I have been reading and writing for 41 years and I'm 44, do the math. And I learned how to write in cursive when I was 5. And I was reading at a college level when I was in the 2nd grade. So this is something that I excel at. I'm a natural genius. And so I have imposter syndrome anyway, as we've established in this video, right? So I, the natural genius, will feel like a big fraud. I know all there is to know about the English language and reading and writing and words and grammar and stuff. So you could ask me, but I feel like when I tell you the answer, you're not asking me because I know it. You're just asking me because you think I know it and I'm a big phony. Basically the heart of imposter syndrome. And finally, my good friend, the one that defines me, the soloist. How can I put this? In the 1980s, there was a TV special based on the Berenstain Bears books, and it was about Easter. It was the Berenstain Bears Easter surprise. The surprise was he was having a little sister. And Papa Q Bear was going to build something. I think it was a treehouse. And he sang a whole song with his son. If you want something done, then do it yourself. And that really stuck with me. And I knew that I had to do it myself. And I am a soloist to the utmost of the law. I will not accept help. I cannot accept help, and I shan't accept help. Now, what have I taken a year and a day to say here? The perfectionist, the superhero, the expert, the natural genius, the soloist, all of which live within me and all of which to some extent live within all of us, right? Is the person who may feel like a big, silly phony. A person who's a big doofus really inside and doesn't know any of this. We're only a perfectionist because we're not perfect. We're only a superhero because we suck. We're not a genius. We're stupid, okay? And we're just putting on the mask. And we're letting everybody know that we're the awesomest people in the world when really we suck eggs. And that's not true. We feel like imposters because somewhere down the line, the little man in our head told us we weren't good enough and we just ran with the little man. And now we're walking around adulting, right? And we're wondering, do other people get nervous when they have to pick up the phone and make a doctor's appointment? Do other people hear a drum roll in their head when they open up their electric bill and worry about money? Do other people not know what line to stand in at the DMV? Am I the only, if I merge into traffic and I'm in the wrong lane and they honk at me, it's because I suck as a human. I'm a bad driver. And everyone's going to laugh me off the road. Do other people feel this way? Or am I just a big phony? And I keep on saying that because that's what imposter syndrome is. And so I guess at this point in the video, you're wondering, how the hell do I combat it, Linda? You've been speaking to me for 20 minutes about what it is, and I gotcha. But what do I do? Well, I've been able to put some things together that help me, so allow me to share it with you. First and foremost, make sure that you set goals that are attainable, okay? It's not a crime to take what's called baby steps and don't overreach, almost underreach. Set small attainable goals for yourself as opposed to the big, huge ones, because this way you have no choice but to succeed. Like, it will happen. Like, if I say, hey, I'm not going to save $500,000, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put $20 every payday in my top drawer in my bedroom, and I'm going to keep it there in a little box. I can do that, and I will, and I shall, and I'll win. You know, I won't be a loser, I'll be a winner. You can practice accentuating what is positive verbally. So, like, celebrate your wins, small victories. And if you're worried you're going to sound like a pompous ass, you're not, okay? Because you have a right to celebrate yourself. Self-care begins with knowing the self and appreciating the self. Self-care isn't all these things they talk about going to the spa, okay? Because before you go to that spa and get that mud wrap or whatever they do to you, you have to feel like you deserve it. You have to feel like it is your right to get that massage. You know what I mean? So verbally accentuate the positives. If you did good today in something, you tell it to people. You put it online. Make a Facebook post. I lost 2 pounds this week. # goals. You know, whatever. Okay, celebrate small wins, because you will start to realize that those small wins are wins nonetheless, and you did it. And finally, what you need to do, and this is easier said than done, is develop a sense of response to criticism. Now, I don't mean criticism like if a person looks at you and laughs and says you're ugly. I mean, if a person tells you something that you could do better or improve upon, like your boss says, nice work, but next time could you do me a favor and make the pages this way? You know, you don't have to run to the ladies' room and cry. He didn't tell you you're a disgusting, horrible human who deserves to die. He just told you that you have to do the papers different, you know? So if you respond to criticism not as catastrophe, but as a betterment of yourself, and I do want to say constructive criticism, P.S., then you will not feel so bad when someone tells you in the future, like, what it is that you can correct yourself on. And to boot, if a person gives you horrendous criticism, like non-constructive criticism, like you're a fat, useless loser, for example, right? You will just, you know, because that's not like what the constructive stuff was. You know, your response to constructive and non-constructive criticism can't be the same. You'll blow your brains out, you know? So don't do that, okay? Now, last but not least, here's what I want to say. The sister of imposter syndrome is something else that it's kind of the polar opposite, and it's known as main character syndrome. And next week on Self-Care Sundays, we're going to be exploring the opposite of imposter syndrome. Main character syndrome is in every conceivable way different, and it's also a syndrome that can get in the way of a person leading a productive life, and it's my pleasure to share what I found about that with you. I hope that you enjoyed the return of Self-Care Sundays, and I'm going to try not to feel like a big old imposter when I go back and edit this footage for you. So have a lovely week, and remember, you are not a fraud. You belong in adult land with adult people just like the rest of us, and you've got this.